perfect and free of all sin. We wish we were, but no society, no country's ever done that. So then people get frustrated and they say, well, we were flawed at the beginning, and they don't look at the United States empirically. So by any abstract or measure, we are great and we are exceptional, but not when you put so many demands on us to be perfect. No country can do that.
So we wanted to get some thoughts on this from Mike Huckabee, former Arkansas governor and Fox News contributor, and Zuhdi Jasser, president of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy and host of the Blaze Radio podcast, Reform This. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Good to have both of you here. You know, we're sort of witnessing, and I think there's so much interest in this debate between these women and President Trump this week, because it really goes to sort of the nature of American values, American beliefs, and whether or not when people come to this country, as was always the case for generations, they almost wanted to leave behind, right, the country that they left. They wanted to be part of this idea, and they wanted to be part of America, which is different than the places that they came from. Zuhdi, let me start with you. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I have to tell you, set aside the politics. We have this conversation every day among the Arabic, Syrian, Muslim community, whichever pigeonhole you want to put me into. The bottom line is my parents made a choice. They chose freedom. Not only chose to leave the tyranny of Baathism and Assadist genocidal governments, but they chose freedom, secular liberal democracy. They rejected Russian communism. They rejected Chinese communism. They rejected so many different ideas in order to come to America. And that's what's getting lost in this conversation. I'm not a racist because I tell my friends who complain every day about America till I want to throw up, and I tell them, you know what, why are you here? Why don't you go elsewhere? And yet many of my other Arabic friends love America and are tired of hearing our identity group, whatever it might be, flavor of the left today, speak for us and make America to be the bad guy, bad country, when in fact the Maduros of the world, the Assads of the world, and the tyrannies of the world really, in an incomparable way, oppress their citizens, and that's the proportionality we should be presenting as Americans.
I want to go to Mike Huckabee, but first I want to play this from Congresswoman Omar.
When I said I was the president's nightmare, well, you're watching it now. Because his nightmare is seeing a Somali immigrant refugee rise to Congress. We are going to continue to be a nightmare to this president because his policies are a nightmare to us.
Governor Huckabee, what do you think?
I don't know why she thinks she's that important to President Trump. I can assure her that she's not. He won't have to take more than half a baby aspirin to be able to go to sleep tonight over her. He just isn't that into her. I think it's absurd, and she has a delusional sense of her own worth and value that, frankly, is a little bit comical. Let's look at it this way. In the context of 50 years ago, we lifted an Apollo space rocket off the launch pad. But this country has been lifting people out of poverty more than any country in the history of the world. We've lifted people out of oppression. We've given women rights. We've done an enormous number of things.
But Governor, they're saying yes, but it's not enough. They're saying it's not enough, that there's further to go, and other people might obviously agree with them, that there's further to go, and that they have no patience for anything that exists in between.
I think we always ought to strive to be, as our founders said, a more perfect union. We're never going to be a completely perfect union, but we're getting there quicker than any other nation that's ever existed. It's why I love my friend Dr. Jasser, whose family came here because they did see something in America that was worth having. And I wish more people would listen to what he had to say than what the Congresswoman has to say.
Dr. Jasser, but before we have to go, do you think that, she says she's President Trump's worst nightmare because he doesn't want to see a Somali refugee rise to Congress. Do you think that is true, that statement is true?
No, Martha, that's gaslighting. She's gaslighting America because the bottom line, President Trump's worst nightmare is what she represents as far as immigrants that don't accept the social contract of America, our founding documents and what they represent as far as freedom and democracy, but rather she represents the narrative of Al Jazeera and why so many of my co-religionists are radicalized, where they see the enemy as America or as Israel, while she presents BDS legislation, lied to her constituents saying she would never do that is grossly anti-Semitic. Yes, she's the tip of the iceberg of a global movement of a red-green axis that hates America, and I think we need to learn from it, but it's not her, as the governor says.
All right. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Good to have both of you with us tonight.
Thank you, Martha.
Coming up next, further provocations from Iran. A dire warning tonight from the United States.
We are not, we hope for their sake they don't do anything foolish. If they do, they will pay a price like nobody's ever paid a price.